Hey guys, and welcome to the official Phoenix General Iceberg. My name is Rooster Blues, and this iceberg was made by a user named something very esoteric and deranged. And I've been given legal counsel as to not say his name any longer. Uh, I came across this iceberg whilst scrolling mindlessly through the internet and decided this was a collection of information that I absolutely needed to elaborate and expand upon. So, just in case you've been living under a rock for the past decade or so, an iceberg chart is a descending list of items/slash topics that get more and more esoteric as it goes. So, without further ado, I present, for the edification of mass audiences, the Phoenix General Iceberg. So, at the very tip of the iceberg, we have two abbreviations listed. The first one being GVS. This is in reference to the well known fact that before Phoenix was named Phoenix, it was called Global Vanguard Security. It was a more organized and tightly knit group dedicated to playing milsim games like Arma until the group was dissolved due to several unsolved murders. Now, after GVS, or rather before GVS, we had another milsim Arma unit named Sophin, or Sons of the Fallen Nation. This was one of the best milsim units in the known universe. Sophin dedicated itself to doing all the wet work that anybody could possibly ever need. This also serves as a perfect segue into the next entry, which is something that the author of the iceberg refers to simply as involvement with the Chinese government. This is most likely in reference to the fact that over the years, all three units have come across either work directly or indirectly from the Chinese government. This type of work has included destabilizing governments, infiltrating NATO installations, convoy escorts, etc. The list goes on and on. The author writes for the next entry private military contracts to all sides of any conflict anywhere in the world. The fact that Soften, GVS, and now more recently Phoenix have all taken contracts that some people might see as unethical or sometimes even could be referred to as morally bankrupt. So, this very next entry and the second to last entry for the surface level is labeled as involvement during the invasion of Altus in parentheses for the 17th time. This entry refers to the small island nation of the Republic of Altus and Stratus, and the fact that the Republic seems to continuously fall into chaos and either threat of invasion or an actual full-on invasion from larger world powers. Seemingly every time that Altus is in trouble, you can find at least a few operators from Phoenix operating in the area looking to make a few bucks. Now, the very last entry of the first tier of the Phoenix General Iceberg is something simply labeled as Splinter from Elysium. Now, this is in reference to the fact that the founding members of Soften originally splintered off from a larger group named Elysium. Now, Soften was founded sometime in the late 1940s under the charter of anonymity and secrecy, almost operating like a secret society akin to the Illuminati or the Freemasons instead of a full-fledged private military company as we know now. Now, diving into deeper into the iceberg, things are going to start to get more and more tricky to understand or even vaguely explain. The very first entry we have is labeled as Platy 1 v Murky 1. Now, folks, this is a contentious issue here in the office. We've debated several times over what this could possibly mean, and the rough consensus we've come up with is that Platy refers to the name of a squad that originated in Soften. The squad was comprised of a few veteran operators and would undertake high-risk, high-reward operations all over the world. Now, the second part of this entry refers to another squad that formed around the same time named Murky 1. Led by the now infamous Mad General, Commander Rooster. This is where the archivists and historians disagree with each other. As per some historians, Murky 1, under the direction of Commander Rooster, led several operations during his tenure as commander in Soften and then GVS. At one point or another, a vague attempt at a coup was orchestrated by Commander Rooster and seemingly failed. After this point, the information and the validity of the sources gets very murky and unreliable. We do not really know what ended up happening with Rooster or the rest of his team after the coup. Now, the second entry listed here is war crimes committed in Tanoa. Now, this is quite vague and I believe purposefully nebulous, but it could refer to an early operator in Sofin/GVS named Lagadema committing a series of war crimes against civilians during an operation there. His squad subordinates eventually turned on him and left him for dead after he ordered them to blow up a local hospital filled with civilians and non combatants. Now, the further entry is labeled all the Eurotrash that we've gotten rid of over the years. Now, this is in reference to the fact that over the years, there have been quite a few Europores that have been in the three respective units and typically end with them being banned for differing reasons. Typically, racism, sexism, bigotry, pretty much you name it. There's an ism that some Eurotrash did within our server. Now, the next entry on the list is quite simple, as it's just the Soften drinking game. This is a comprehensive list of challenges tailor made for Soften for whenever something happens to either take a shot, a swig, or a big gulp. Whenever one of these challenges had happened. Now, some of these challenges include things such as take a big gulp whenever someone gets banned, or take a shot whenever you hear Luke's mom rush into the room, and then down the whole bottle if Luke has to get off the game very quickly. Now, for this next entry, Father Rooster's Cult, this refers to a quasi political slash religious group that formed within the echelons of Sophin. It was formed by Commander Rooster and was established as a group to counter the pretended conspiracy on behalf of the staff against him. Now, the final entry in the second tier is Real Origin of the Name Fenix. This is quite mysterious, and at the time of writing the script for this video, the quote unquote founders of Fenix have refused to respond to my correspondence asking about the subject. Now, folks, the very first entry into the deeper third tier is something that is quite frankly frightening. The iceberg refers to Veterans Chat Real Purpose. At first glance, I thought this was just another jokey type entry into the iceberg. But after further investigation, I found some very dark secrets, and I feel as though my life is at risk if I spoke truthfully about what I found. So, moving on to a lighter subject, there is a subject here called Secret Admin Channels Conspiring Against Rooster. Now, there have been in the past several locked channels and hidden channels on main communication servers for different purposes. Now, Commander Rooster, being the schizophrenia patient that he purportedly was believed to be, thought that these hidden channels were all places where people, specifically those in positions of authority and power, would gather and conspire to kill him. So, the very next entry was extremely difficult to research, as it does seem as though it is either incorrect information or so underground that archivists and historians can't agree whether or not it's real. It simply says GVS still exists in other countries. After the dissolution of GVS in June of 2019, according to this iceberg chart, there were splinter groups that formed from exiled and even ostracized members of GVS that continued to operate in their respective nations. There is little to no evidence of this and cannot truly be confirmed by my office. Now, the following entry in the iceberg refers to, again, the dissolution of GVS, with it being named the real reason why GVS ended. Other than the fact that there was a string of unsolved murders in May and June of 2019, there have always been operators and civilians that hypothesized that there was a real deep conspiracy and backroom deals cut and made to preserve the continuity of power within GVS. Now, the entry simply labeled as several failed attempts at lore building could mean any one of 1,000 things, but most likely it refers to Commander Rooster and his schizophrenic ramblings proposed to build out the lore and the world of Fenix, GVS, and Sophin. It was universally hated and it never took off. Now, the last entry for the third tier of the Fenix General Iceberg is titled something a bit cryptic. Something that puzzled our team of archivists and historians for quite some time. But after quite a bit of research and deciphering with our counterparts in the UK, we can say with a confidence rate of 81% that Gib Op question mark refers to operators asking for more what work to do. So that will be the end of this first part, with the other parts of the iceberg being explored and elaborated on further in part 2. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you don't miss the second part when it comes out very soon. Thank you.